we approached the return of Strange New Worlds with its fourth season with some concerns. After all, we all watched season 3, which had both gimmicky and horrible episodes, and overall suffered from a serious drop in quality. So, with the apprehension implicit in another season of gimmicks, including Muppets, it had us hoping for the best and ready to pray to the great bird of the galaxy for the inevitable heat death of the show at worst. Luckily, for the most part, despite 1, 2, 3, 4, all of the episodes having some kind of gimmick, the show has not chosen to go into a death spiral. So, with about half the season out, let's talk about it. This is Treknicity. Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast where we explore the Star Trek multiverse one mission at a time. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and going boldly today, is Kat Drake and Lars DeSenza.
Woohoo!
Yay.
We're finally back. Hi.
Once more, again.
The rumors of our demise are greatly appreciated. Oh, sorry. Exaggerated. That's the word I was looking for. Shit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what you're going to say. Sure. But on the plus side, that gave us some time to get things reorganized, resorted, and gave you time to go to Star Trek Las Vegas.
Well, while we were reorganized into the first galactic. Oh shit! Sorry. Anyways, so yes, I went to STLV, and holy shit, was it cool! I was so freaked out when I was on the verge of going the day before the convention started, and I just did not know if I was going to be able to make it. But I am so glad that I just basically buried all that anxiety with lots of caffeine, and holy crap, it was freaking amazing. I had the, seriously, I can't even think of any more adjectives. The experiences that I had between meeting the people, exactly.
Or
would you say it's totally tubular, dude? Huh.
Okay, Kat, we need to have a talk about your references because you are in the wrong generation. You totally went Valley Girl on us, and I'm just not really there. Seriously?
Well, you know what, dude? Honestly, the way you're responding to my energy was totally not excellent. So, in fact, I don't think we're going to be able to party on, dudes.
I'm too old for this shit.
So the experience of going to STLV was beyond a measure of joy that I never thought that I could have. I met so many cool people from the TikTok side of things, from Trek Talkers, and I've also had the opportunity to meet some of the cast members of different series and movies, including look at the Treknicity TikTok account. There is an interview there with me and Kareem Diani. I will explain to you at another time just how easily it was to snag that guy for the interview. Holy shit, it was so much fun. But I'm telling you,
you're saying he's easy.
Incredible.
Not in that way, Patrick.
How do you know?
That?
How do you know? How do you know, Kat? Seriously.
Yeah.
Because he's a member of Hollywood. He's going to have high standards.
I don't know. You know what? Not going to go there. But I will say that, Kareem was an absolute sweetheart to me, gave me a hug. Actually, you know what? I don't have time for the entire story of how I got a free selfie with him the next day. But suffice to say, just absolute freaking chef's kiss.
Is he, as the kids would say, just a chill guy?
Absolute chill guy. And it's evident that he truly believes in the causes that he backs, because on the day that I interviewed him, he was wearing a t-shirt that said "Protect the Dolls," which is an organization
I have one of those
to protect drag people who do drag, also people in the trans community. And then the next day, he was wearing a really cool shirt from Xylatrex, and I will include a quick screenshot right here for you, because again, it is freaking cool.
Yep, it's worth seeing.
It is.
Anyway, so anything else you have to add, or this is stories you have to string us out with over many episodes?
I will string you along as long as I can. I will say one of the coolest thing. What the hell did you say? What was your card?
Biting tongue.
Yeah. I didn't have a time when we started talking about Kareem, but most of the time through that.
Okay.
Anyway.
So suffice to say
terrible.
that my experience with him made me Kareem my jeans.
Okay.
Right, let's continue
in this episode.
We get HR involved.
Stop. In this episode, we're going to speed run the first half of season 4 of Strange New Worlds and discuss how the series is doing, especially in light of what we got for season 3. And let's kick it off with the very first episode, Valles Marineris. Although that makes me think of pasta sauce, but I don't know why.
Patrick, your 10 minutes starts now.
Yay! That's time. I time out because I'm bad. Okay, bye. Okay, and you asked for it. It's the dumb dinosaur dumb episode that's kind of dumb. We start out with a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey episode where the anomaly of the week yeets the Enterprise back to Earth 65 million years in the past. Also, there are Martians and a bug planet between Mars and Jupiter that the Martians have been fighting for generations. Did I mention the dinosaurs? Either way, Una phasers a T-Rex in the mouth. La'an punches a velociraptor and runs off like a little bitch. And after racing to stop the Martians from genociding the entire bug planet, Pike pulls a Janeway and just lets it happen, which of course allows them to be flung back into the future. To confirm that blowing up the bug planet made the asteroid belt, made Mars the dead planet it is today, and shifted Earth to its present place in the solar system. Oh, and also you remember the whole asteroid that killed the dinosaurs? Yeah, they did it. Luckily, Starfleet just hand waves all the murder away because timelines are temporal investigations job, and the writers just want you to forget about it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. To be fair, that ending was the break point for me. It's like, seriously, we really just did all that, and Pike allowed a genocide to happen, and this is Star Trek. This wasn't the best episode. It was fun in the moment. Sure, the dinosaurs. Now, if they should have ponied up the money to get the Jurassic Park theme as they did the pan over Jurassic Earth. But no, we didn't get that.
No.
So I just went for the John Williams stuff. So that's pretty much you could tell. I enjoyed it, but not the best. Kat, you want to take it from here? Tell us what you think.
Yeah. So honestly, right?
No, lie to
and
me.
let me simplify it. Let me simplify it for the Subway Surfers dual screen Gen Zers here. So this, well, just anyone who's lost, right? Because as we all know, Patrick, well, he likes to talk quite a bit. So obviously, the ship is lost. Okay, cool. Isn't that basically just everything of Star Trek? Whatever. Dinosaurs, cool, I guess. Don't get how it's relevant though. I get that it's like an anomaly of the week shit, but like, come on, man. Bit of a. Although to be fair, they could Paramount themselves could be potentially spiraling after the failure of like the last two Jurassic World movies. Although that could be something else. Obviously, this is Star Trek, and yes, Mars has Martians, but like, it's like almost like they did it for convenience of, oh yeah, let's throw a dart at the dartboard. Let's see what planet is gonna have people. Oh, great. It's Mars. Okay. Martians that can phase through walls.
But they don't have
What the
transporters, so.
Yeah, but I mean, still, man. And then, you know, the whole waving it away with the whole, oh, it's temporal investigations job. Cop out. Cheap, lousy cop out. Not gonna lie. The way they did the dinosaurs, yeah, decent. Looks better than what they did in any of the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, whatever. Everything that they did with that IP, Star Trek somehow managed to do it better for God knows what budget for a 40-minute long episode. So hats off to them on that. But this whole thing about the causality loop that they've caused, right? Like, okay, so from my understanding at least, they've essentially put themselves into a constant loop of Enterprise finds this anomaly, goes into the anomaly, spits them back out 65 million years in the past. Well, 65 million and spare change, because obviously timelines and shit. And then, because of them being spat out back in the past, they then lie to the Martians. The Martians then steal the very important part that they need to be able to fly home. And then the Martians use that to fire a rocket at the bug planet. The bug planet then gets exploded, a la Event Horizon. And then that explosion causes both the entirety death of Mars, which means, yes, it becomes the red barren wasteland that we have nowadays. But then at the same time, it killed all the dinosaurs. So this is what is starting to kind of mess with my head a bit is, did Temporal Investigations already know that this was going to happen? Or is this Enterprise has started the loop, therefore this loop must now continue from now until the end of whatever, right? Because if that's the case, then they've essentially locked themselves into a fucking grandfather paradox, and that is too much for an episode of Star Trek. I get it, right? Star Trek is meant to be this great, well, no, it is a great show, but, you know, it's meant to be one of those kind of shows that makes you think a little bit, right? And it makes you think, ooh, science is cool. Hell yeah. But I think they were just doing too much with this episode, to be honest. They did a bit too much. So, anyways, dinosaurs are dead. Yippee. Solar system rearranged like my guts after Taco Bell, and everyone gets home safe. Lars, any ideas?
I'm going to disagree with both of you on this one. I didn't feel it was all that dumb to begin with. Was it a little silly? Was it gimmicky? Absolutely. Did they really kind of blow their load on the beginning episode of this season? Yeah, but they kind of needed to, because season 3 was a bitter disappointment to a lot of fans, and I think they got the message. I really think they got it. So they came back with something that was going to wet people's whistles. You saw what it was like when they teased that the dinosaurs were going to be somewhere in this season, and they came out strong. Was it silly that they shot T-Rex in the mouth? Is it silly that La'an basically sucker punched a velociraptor? Yeah. Was it kind of weird that they introduced a highly technologically advanced species that were Martians that were fighting this kind of bug species in our own solar system. Well, they kind of had to figure out a way to get the Enterprise believably in that time period so that they could do whatever it is they needed to do. It's long been since theorized that Mars was the home of an alien species long before mankind ever rose up out of the shadows of the dinosaurs' downfall. So it's really important to look at this episode on its merits. It told a very engaging story. It was full of adventure. It had silly dinosaurs. It had Pike doing what he does best, and that is riding on a freaking horse at the opening, and seeing La'an in Western gear was just freaking chef's kiss to me. I'm sorry. That was so freaking cool. I loved it. Yeah. Now, is it the best episode of the season? Absolutely not. But I still think it's a very strong entry for the season. And I think it sets the tone for the entire season.
They do come out of the gate quite strong with it. Like,
yeah,
minus its faults. Great episode.
Well,
like it is. I enjoyed it too. I did enjoy the episode. It was just the ending is where it really goes. Ugh.
Fair.
That's my problem is the ending.
I do agree.
The episode itself silly, but yeah,
they had to MacGuffin things a little bit, but it is what it is, and we can't change it. We got to just let them ride and see where they take it. Now, let's move on to the next episode of this season. Episode 2 was the Griffin incident. Patrick, tell us all about it.
Okay, Spock, La'an, and perpetual special guest. Okay, why are we getting a big ring in the air?
That's you, Lars. I think it's your phone.
No, it's not my phone. It was the damn timer going off, and I did not realize it was going to do that. So we're going to have to chop all this shit out. But
cut. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's why I just stopped, because I'm going to start with Spock, La'an, and go from there. Okay, ready? Right. Ready?
Your 10 minutes start now.
Spock, La'an, and perpetual special guest James T. Kirk once more, are returning from a conference in a shuttle, which seems to never end well when you start a Trek episode that way. They stumble upon a missing starship, the USS Griffin, a ship that has been MIA for 9 years. After seeing a ghost, negatively charged particles that looked awfully a lot like a ghost, they split up to explore the ship like every group in a horror movie. We then get a mix of psychological and body horror as the three are traumatized while the ship tries driving them insane. Before the end, Spock is mutilating himself. Kirk is agonizing over his son that he subsequently seems to forget until Star Trek II. And La'an, of course, goes all murder hobo-y. Sure, the crew apparently beams in, but that's another hallucination. In the end, we get to see Sam Kirk's entrails sucked out into space before he joins them, and La'an skewering Kirk for suspense or something. But because this is James T. Kirk, they get beamed back just in time so that Kirk can be saved. And the episodes end with no real explanation as to what exactly we just saw, which is kind of the good thing. And I'm going to just start with that. This was an atmospheric episode. Of them, this is actually my least favorite for watching, but it was a solid episode which really played with expectations, and you didn't know exactly what was going to happen. Sure, occasionally you'd have the jump scare and your average horror movie tropes, but yeah, a good episode or two like this is always good. An episode of this in a season is always a good thing to throw in because it lets the things be spooky. We had the aliens inspired episode with the Gorn back in, I think it was season 2.
Season 1.
Oh, that was season 1. Yeah. You're right. That was Hemmer.
Yeah, it was the Gorn babies.
Yeah. Yes. I think we had something in season 2. We're not going to talk about season 3. And then we had this one.
You had Gorn babies season 1 mimicking Alien. There was something in season 2 that mimicked Event Horizon. Season 3, they had an episode that
We don't
I
care.
remember
It's season 3.
correctly mimicked Space Odyssey. Yeah,
Yeah.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
And this did a little bit of Event Horizon feel too. So
Yeah, that was very much an Event Horizon kind of vibe on it.
because we can't stop doing episodes with heavy gimmicking.
It gave me a different vibe to it than Event Horizon.
Go ahead then. What kind of vibe did you get?
For me, at least, and this is more kind of like a recent entry into like the horror genre. But well, I say recent. It was almost a combination of now if you play video games, you'll know this quite well. It gave me a bit more of a BioShock and maybe Dead Space vibe than it did Event Horizon.
Space.
If you played Dead Space, pretty much guy goes in to inspect this large mining ship, and the whole thing has been taken over by necromorphs, as they're called in the game. And he's haunted by the ghost of his girlfriend the entire time, in the same way that Lars was haunted by the previous security chief of the Griffin. But honestly, all in all, I loved this episode. I myself, quite a big horror fan. You can kind of tell by the background. This is, I will admit, this is stolen from my favorite horror YouTuber, Dead Meat. Oh yeah. But you know what? This episode was great, right? It kind of explored the deeper fears and insecurities of these three characters. You know, La'an is scared that her heritage as as a descendant of Khan Noonien Singh was going to turn her into a murderer. Spock is still scared of the fact that he is half human, half Vulcan, to the point where he was hallucinating his ex-Vulcan mate, and she was trying to convince him to mutilate himself to turn him more human than Vulcan. And then at the same time, we've got James T. Kirk scared about being a father, which, I mean, I myself, not a parent, but I know many parents. I mean, hell, I host a podcast with two of them. I have my own parents. And from what I have heard from friends of mine who are parents, one of the scariest things for a parent, at least, is fear over whether your kid is safe or not. And I think the ship messing with James in that way, making him hear his kid and see his kid in the worst possible places, that kind of inspires a deep primal fear within him, to the point where it's like, oh, holy shit, I need to save my kid. And the way that the episode kind of played on their own personal fears was an amazing way. And I mean, granted, this whole thing with, oh yeah, no, we gotta save Kirk. Oh! You know, he's got infinite lives because he appears in a later series. That one still throws me for a loop every single time. But and I get, like, you know what? If this episode was a two-parter, I would not be mad. I think this episode itself could have done great as a two-parter, because you could have explored, like, when they all hallucinated the crew coming on, the crew could have actually come on the ship, and then they could have explored some of the crew's fears as well.
Dude, that'd be 1/5 of the season.
Yeah, exactly. But it'd be an amazing little arc for them to go through. And then at the end, you know, it was very kind of almost government cover-up, X-Files-y, and I still loved that. All in all, I think it was an amazing episode. Lars, what do you think?
So, I do agree that it was a really good episode. I feel it was a good, solid footing. I actually want to say I liked it more than episode 1, simply because they did lean into a lot of the fears of the characters, and they spent a lot of time focusing largely on the 3 characters that went there: Spock, La'an, and of course Kirk. Kirk, of course, he's the whole thing of him worrying about being a good father. Um, that kind of plays on the mindset of that. And the whole time I was watching this, it reminded me of a bit of advice that Patrick actually gave me when I became a father was, remember, there's one really important thing about kids that you have to remember, and that is kids are really good at not dying. I still remember that to this day. 12 years later, I still remember that piece of advice, and it has guided me. So the fact that they played so hard on his fears and his anxieties was kind of a good thing, because he doesn't have that guidance. He's literally trying to do the best he can. Because remember, in Star Trek 2, he also says to Carol that he did what she asked, he stayed away. Well, how can you stay away and be a good parent? You can't do the two. The other with Spock, it really played on his own anxieties of his division between Vulcan and human. And of the biggest antagonist that he's had of that so far has been T'Pring. I mean, come on, seriously, the woman has resting T'Pring face. Okay. It is seriously a really good example of how his own mind was twisted by whatever was on the Griffin to play on that fear. Then you go to La'an. La'an has been struggling since season 1 with her identity as a genetic descendant of Khan Noonien Singh, and we've seen it build up and build up and build up, and here we reach a little bit of a crux on it. And I just thought, wow, they really dug deep to show you the level of her paranoia and fear on that, and the fact that you didn't really know what she had done until the very end, to me, was really good. You knew Kirk wasn't going to die, but you didn't know for a hot minute. You didn't know that she actually stabbed him. And then you realize, holy shit, she did. And she shows off the best Cutco knife I've ever seen. Like, holy crap. I mean, that is like, wow. So again,
stabby.
Stabby.
Bio
stabby. Yeah. Side note, on Vulcan, do they use the word do they say T'Pring instead of bitch?
Hey, that's you can't just compare. You can't just compare T'Pring to Britta from Community, right? Yes, T'Pring may have Britted everything, but like, come on, man.
She was very much Spock's, has been the entire series. She has been Spock's biggest antagonist, and we know this. We know she's going to stay like this, because if they're sticking with established Star Trek canon, we know in a time in the original series that she pulled the old switcheroo, asking, for.
She has Kirk do the fight.
Yeah, but what is what is it she asked for? It's not Faltorpan. That's the refusion.
Crap. I do not remember. Somebody will have to look that up.
That's what it is. The Caliphie.
Yep, I literally just got there.
Okay. So when T'Pring calls for the Caliphie in Amok Time, that is, to me, that is the coup d'etat. That's it. That is her basically saying, I have had enough of your shenanigans or your whatever. And her basically showing that she had long since lost any affection or connection with Spock. And that was played out exceptionally well, because he knew it and he feared it. And it, whatever this thing is on the Griffin, it played on it. And I like the fact that they brought in this Division 12, which is effectively the X-Files of Star Trek. I mean, come on, that's pretty cool, right?
Yep.
Yep, it is.
So I feel another great offering, solid offering, but it's time for us to really, really kind of, change the tone, because we had something that you didn't know if it was serious, something that was hella serious, you gotta mix that up. Because I mean,
It's because it's Star Trek and we have to have another gimmick.
exactly, because
Yeah.
because the
Actually,
thing is, they could
Can I
have
just say something really quick?
Go ahead, jump in.
I'm so sorry. It's just whilst I was thinking about like the rest of the episode, it popped into my head, and it was about what you said earlier about how we didn't see what La'an did until the end of the episode. This was the other thing that it kind of reminded me of. Silent Hill.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Because in Silent Hill, the whole thing is like he's getting tortured by his own inner demons, and you don't find out until the end of the game that he was the one that killed his wife, not someone else. And it was the same kind of thing. Sorry, it just popped into
Spoiler
my head when you
alert!
mentioned it. Silent Hill is like older than me, man. It can't
Yeah,
be
that's
spoiled
not
at this
that-
point.
That's not that old.
Hey,
I'm referencing stuff way older than you. Come on.
okay, so fine. I think we all agree. Very spooky episode. They did not, do the whole Scooby-Doo ghost situation. So they kept it pretty much psychological body horror. They kept it dark. They made it spooky. They had to follow up with something in a lighter tone, and I think they did a great job. The next episode that we're going to review here is episode 3, of course. It is Human Best Friend. Patrick, take it away. Your 10-minute start now.
Oh, sure. Just keep the timer running.
That's
At least it didn't go off this time. So, yay.
It did. I was just too fast.
Sure.
No, it did. I heard it.
After one episode that clearly indicates the need for some shore leave, we get the shore leave episode on a planet where the air makes you all intoxicated. And after one whole episode and an opening sequence to build up a rivalry between Ortegas and Scotty, they get odd coupled up in a hangover setup to figure out a mystery while everybody else acts silly. Spock is totally incapacitated, mind melding with plants included. Also, Jim Kirk is here as Spock's hallucination until he isn't. Uhura is all vibes on her journey. Una's belting out Total Eclipse of the Heart in Klingon, and it's fabulous. While Mbenga is tending bar badly. Pike gets himself all tattooed and shit. And after Ortegas and Scotty sort out the dude where's my car portion of the ep, with the assistance of the ever murder hobo-y La'an, foreshadowing, they get Black Bag tied to chairs. They start to work out their issues with each other while trying to free themselves, find out that they set all this shit up themselves, collect Chapel from the third most psychotic bingo game I've ever seen. I am in Ohio, after all. Get everyone back to the Enterprise for surprise negotiations and finish working out things between themselves, only to find they have to sort out a bomb, which they do explosively and without dying because Scotty is legacy, and we still have 13 episodes left. It's a silly episode. So, I will tell you a couple things. Yeah, this is probably the second silliest episode of the season because episode 5 exists. But yeah, it's basically the let's just have fun with the characters. I do like what they managed to do between Scotty and Ortegas. We got another Ortegas episode with some Scotty, with a side dish of Scotty. And really, we got development on the two characters, which we had not gotten until now. Really being able to play with the characters because Ortegas got to do more than say, I fly the ship. It was a good thing. But yeah. So, Kat, you want to see what did you think?
Honestly, I mean, yes, you did talk about it during your like recap of the episode, but this entire episode just screamed The Hangover. Like genuinely, like I will admit, after the episode ended, I did not watch the credits, so I don't know if they did the same thing in the credits that they did in the original Hangover, which was the sequence of pictures that they find. If they did, I'm finding those and I'm making that my PC lock screen. But honestly, I loved this episode because, entire crew gets fucking wasted. Spock is somehow managing, like, his whole thing with the mind world, it was like, my mind to your roots, my thoughts to your leaves. And it's like, he's that wasted. He somehow knew, I must meld with plant. Let me figure out the proper, let me figure out the proper words to mind meld with this plant.
But he did it. He did it.
I'm just wondering why Ortegas was the cactus.
Bro. And then not only that, Una fucking crushing Bonnie Tyler in Klingon. And honestly, Una herself does kind of give the vibe of like that one person who, when they get drunk, they only do karaoke. At the same time, though, one thing that kind of annoyed me about the episode was some of the like intoxicated stereotypes. They kind of played into it too much, like fucking Una becoming some like good vibes Burning Man Cali girl, Scotty doing the classic Scottish thing of getting dressed up, putting things where they shouldn't be, and just causing general mayhem. If you've ever been around Glasgow or Edinburgh, you would know what I'm talking about. Ortegas somehow managing to break her arm. Fucking hilarious. Then there is also, Chris, Pike getting tattooed.
Yeah, the face tattoos were a bit much.
The face tattoos very much almost reminded me of Chakotay. But that's neither here nor there.
What about his speech on his hands?
Oh yeah, he was like, nah, like his hands aren't big enough that he could write the whole speech on his fingers. But it was hilarious that he tried.
But he could have notes. He could have had talking points on there.
Potentially, yes. Chapel getting into a bingo match with a bunch of old Ferengi women, though. It's hilarious. Because it was then like, she kept winning multiple times in a row. And one of them was like, God damn it, she keeps winning. Time to beat her up. And then...
Let's smack that to Pring up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's smack that to Pring up. And then Laan being like murder hobo-y, trying to teach them defense instead of yoga, and then taking over a gang by using Scotty's Hawaiian shirt.
I mean, come on.
Everything in this episode was silly.
It was. The only thing I didn't get was the whole because it got referenced like twice in the show. It's green.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's a story behind that, and I will tell you that.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, so in the original series, when I don't remember the name of the episode, but there is an alien race that is that takes over the Enterprise, is trying to use them to get to some far off alien planet, their home world, and the only way. The thing is, they had never experienced humanity before, so they transcended their forms and became human. And Scotty leaned into that and got one of them drunk. And by the time they're absolutely shit-faced wasted, he pulls this bottle out of nowhere, and he goes to hand it to the guy, and he goes, "What is it?" And he looks at it, he goes, "Well, it's green." And
it's green.
That is where that line started. Now, also in the movie Generations, Guinan is talking to a newly emotional Data, and she says, "Would you like to try something new that I just received from Focus 3?" And she pours him a drink. He goes, "What is it?" And she goes, "It's green." So that's kind of a recurring thing. And the fact that he reiterates it in this episode is just a nice little callback. So
I do like.
He also
that-
does it in TNG's episode Relics.
exactly.
Picard on the holodeck version of the Toss Bridge.
I do also enjoy that, like, earlier in the episode, you see Mbenga failing to be a bartender, and then at the end of the episode, he's somehow sobered up enough or something to be a really good bartender.
So that's my point. Okay, in this episode, how many movies did they reference? Okay, they got The Hangover.
All three of them.
They got Dude, Where's My Car? Okay. They got Cocktail. Sorry, I bumped my mic. Cocktail.
Yeah.
They got, let's see, what else do they have?
Technically, they also have Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yes, thank you. Okay, how many movies can they shove in there? That was just so funny. And the fact
The answer is yes.
Yes, and the fact that Pike got the face tattoo that was very reminiscent of the tribal tattoo that dude got in the second. Was it the second?
Nope, it was the first. It was the first Hangover movie because they were in Vegas.
I thought it was I thought he got it in the
he got-
second because he got lost his tooth in the first one.
No. He lost his tooth and got the tattoo in the first one.
Okay.
Because in the first one, they also met Mike Tyson, gave his tiger back, and he got married to a stripper.
Right. Okay. So the fact that they reference all of these bits to me was just absolutely beautiful.
Or lazy, one of the two.
I don't care. Like you can
Oh, yeah.
call me a lot, but I do like the idea that you mentioned the whole thing about and time. So my final thought on it is that you mentioned the whole thing about the third most iconic bingo game that you've ever seen. That was just amazingly cool how they tied these little bits together, and then you find out that it was planned all along. They did it themselves, and the fact that we got to see one for the first time ever. I think we got to see the Tribble move, an actual moving Tribble. Okay, right before Ortegas and Scotty wake up in the room.
And Ortegas punches Scotty for being
In a
Mugato.
Mugatu suit. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a beer
I'd punch a Mugato too.
There was a beer keg in that room. Okay. That was so cool. The only thing that was missing was the whole like something to do with the Gorn, you know. I mean, holy crap.
It would have been hilarious if they had like a drunk Gorn there.
Yeah. So
Or a Gorn wedding, one of the two.
Fun fact I did want to share with you during STLV, Martin Quinn was there. One of the days he was there, he was wearing that Hawaiian shirt.
I do want to say, just very quickly, I'm fairly certain they were stoned as hell writing this episode.
Oh, I'm sure. Whoever decided that this one had to go into this season, thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you so much
for the second silliest episode of them all.
Right. So, moving on to our next episode, this one turns the whole gimmick on its ear again, but is a wonderful example of how you can explain it using technobabble. We have episode 4, A Case of Kirsikaru. Patrick, take it away.
Okay, the Enterprise has sent Una, Uhura, and Mbenga on a shuttle to get a probe out of Klingon space. And since this week's gimmick is a noir episode on the Casablanca planet, the sun's radiation has made everything black and white. The shuttle's forced to the planet where they have to blend in with the residents of the noir planet. And Una gets recognized as apparently one of the bosses of the gang working for the Klingons, and also as the leader of the resistance. After Uhura gets snatched up for a bit, Una and Mbenga have to unravel the whole mystery of what's going on, especially after finding the real leader on ice in more ways than one. Uhura finally gets freed. Una decides to carry out some hardcore resistance and sets up bad guy to trigger the EMP, which takes down the entire planet and allows everybody to escape successfully. And they all go back to the ship. Debating on this, Omega shares a little about how he murdered a whole lot of people. Meanwhile, on the ship for the entirety, La'an is going on a little bit of a paranoia trek, looking for some kind of traitor. In the end, after questioning her sanity, she finds out it was actually Chapel just pulling a CYA for another ship. And also, so we don't forget, Scotty and Ortegas are buddies. That was very important. They included that. Very important. But probably the coolest little thing here, and we didn't, and when we first watched the episode, we didn't know until the episode released, and we could see the name in the subtitles. The commander is Core, as in the same character originated in the original series by John Colicos, or Colicos, I'm not sure pronunciation. Colicos, voiced by Jimmy Dewitt in the animated series, returns on Deep Space Nine and eventually dies in Glorious Combat. Yeah, sure, there's a little bit issue with the forehead ridges, but we'll figure that out later. So, overall, this was a really good episode that really delved into what you do when resistance is a thing, dealing with an occupation planet, dealing with the Federation has done similar things, just not as cruel and terrible as the Klingons. Compare that with, say, modern day equivalent of, say, the Soviet Union and back in the day, and Russia now, and the United States. So yeah, I'm very happy with this episode. Enjoyed it immensely. And Kat, go ahead and tell us what you think.
Bit on the fence about this episode. Completely honest.
So why? I mean, I respect that. Why? I feel kind of the same way, so I'd like to know why you feel that way.
I think it was more just kind of it was more the storyline of the episode. It seemed like a very cut and dry, like not even cut and dry. It seemed like a very much already done before, copy and paste rebellion kind of storyline this episode. Don't get me wrong, the art style was great, very much reminded me of the game LA Noire. Also kind of gave off a little bit of like Bond vibes, things like that. Not like new Bond, but like old Bond, you know, like Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan Bond. You know, it had the elements.
Different eras of Bond.
Okay, well, yeah, but like it had that sense of intrigue. It had that sense of you never know what you're going to see next whilst you're watching the episode. And the way that they did the visuals this episode, great, but it was just the main storyline of the episode that really didn't do it for me. If they had maybe done it differently, maybe just did something else with it, I could potentially enjoy it. But it just felt like they were doing something that's already been done before, and I wouldn't say I'm closed-minded, but you know, if I'm not as engaged with something if I think I've seen this kind of episode before in a show or or like a movie or a video game. You know,
yeah, the movie was Casablanca.
I don't think I've ever watched that one.
Watch it.
I will try. But no, it was still good. I will admit. You know, the intrigue, the twists, the turns, that final little twist with getting the bad guy himself to trigger the EMP, great. But the rest of it, bit. You know, Lars, what are you thinking?
Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, it probably, in my perspective, it was the weakest performing episode, but it has a number of really good elements. One, I want everybody to know, if you haven't looked it up already, the word chiaroscuro is actually an art form that plays with the differences between light and dark, so that you get the noir feel of this, and it is very clear that they lean into that. And of course, they wanted to implement that without it being just a wizard did it kind of thing, which is kind of how they did in last season with the season before with Subspace Rhapsody. They did in the previous seasons with Subspace Rhapsody. They found a way to explain it scientifically. But one thing other that it shows is that at this point in the timeline, the Federation is still very kind of not sure how to deal with the Klingons. They know the Klingons can whoop their ass, which is why they purposely don't fly the Enterprise into Klingon space to get that probe back. They send in the shuttle. The shuttle's like, oh shit, there's a D7 here that's blocking our egress. We got to do something. So they have to go down there. Now, for me, I guess the biggest thing that was the hardest part to explain was, of course, the fact that Una's character looks exactly like the leader of the Resistance. But I mean, come on, we've seen it in Star Trek. If this really bugs you, then you're going to be bugged by a lot of things you see in the original series, because they had to deal with the limitation of their budget. They had to go with what they could afford. So that's why you got episodes like A Piece of the Action, where they made use of the backlot sets where they could make it look like old style New York, especially with episodes like City on the Edge of Forever, which was phenomenally cool. So they did the same thing. They used the same kind of tropes to be able to tell a good classic story. And if
Gangster Planet,
yeah,
Nazi Planet.
My only thing was that, like, why did they have Core in Imperial Klingon forehead ridge looking? Because even Memory Alpha talks about Core being born with a smooth forehead because he is a descendant of those Klingons that were subjected to the Klingon augment virus. So, if that's my only beef, wow, that's nothing.
The other thing is, I don't get why Core would be there. Doesn't really make sense for Core to be there.
But I don't know, because Core at this point in his career, he is still a military officer. He has not become the Dahar master that we see in Deep Space Nine, and he's not even. I mean, because remember, in Errand of Mercy, we still see him as a military commander. So the fact that he is rising from the ranks and dealing with the subjugation of this planet, it makes a lot of sense why we see him. I just didn't want to have to figure out why. Why did they do this? Is it because they just wanted to show off their Klingon makeup skills? They didn't need to. And but again, if that was my biggest beef, then I think I can live with it.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I am just double checking Memory Alpha because I forgot they have added the occupation of Matar, and that's absolute confirmation all the way. So,
right. So with that being said, overall, again, good solid episode, good use of the genre, of the noir genre, and also the art style. I think it also shows us that I think the MVPs of this season are going to be Una and La'an. I think those are going to be the two we see the most character development on, despite the fact that Scotty and Ortegas are buddies. I think they're setting that up so that when we finish in season 5, that Ortegas is going to move on to somewhere else, and we're going to see that emotional departure, which is good. That's good character development.
Or
maybe that's why Scotty is so grumpy in the original series.
Yeah, I think he's grumpy because Shatner was an asshole to doing. Seriously, he was.
Well, it is Shatner, so
Shatner was a complete asshole to Jimmy Doohan. during the original series. So the fact,
We could just blame it on the chat.
yep, he got shattered real bad. Anyways, so we've got another trope episode under our belt. Let's move on to by far the silliest episode of the entire season to date. Episode 5, Level 5 Transporter Accident. Patrick, your 10 minutes.
It's time to watch the episode Transporter Accident. Another gimmick episode. Yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Scotty is trying to break new transporter records with an old puppet. Of course, there's a transporter accident while Spock's off the ship in just going out for a little quick jaunt, which unfortunately affects the entire ship, making them all Muppets. At least Pike's hair is still fabulous. Meanwhile, prior to that, Lon dumps Spock. Does he work it out the Vulcan way? Sort of. He calls to Pring, who doesn't want hijinks when she arrives. Just before the ship gets Muppeted. She gets Muppeted too. And she's pissed. Strangely, Pelia seems to be the only one who seems more human as a Muppet. Even more entertaining, Spock is the only one who can really operate the ship. The rest of the ep is basically them trying to solve all the problems of being Muppets while running Spock ragged. Of course, immediately after that, Orion pirates show up. Hilarity and shooting ensues. The Orions take control of the ship. Spock gets captured. More hilarity as the crew finally figures out how to fight as Muppets. At least they acknowledge the whole situation is absurd. But in the end, they win hilariously, get to float in space while talking, and it was all Spock's dream. Yay!
Oh, no.
Well, I've seen worse. I remember Dallas.
Yeah, that Bobby Ewing thing was just BS.
Yeah, spoiler alert. This was one episode that was all a dream sequence. Dallas had an entire season that they made a dream sequence because they wanted to bring a character back. Because unlike Star Trek, you can't just, they go to the Black Mountain and struggle with their things and come back and blah, blah, blah explanation. Also, something about a giant koala.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty awesome one way or another. There's not a lot to say. There is not a whole lot to say about this show other than the Henson company did a great job turning the crew into Muppets. Side note, the red shirt survived because you can shoot a red shirt straight to the belly. Also, it's a dream sequence, so who gives a shit?
This is the one episode where a red shirt survives.
Yeah, you know they did that on purpose.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
they basically fulfilled everyone's wet dream with this episode of a red shirt surviving.
Oh
yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's about all I got. It's a episode with Muppets in it.
Yeah, that's.
Go ahead, Kat.
So, yeah. This is like, this episode itself was amazing. Purely not just the special effects side of things, but also from a special effects perspective. Because when a lot of shows try and do a puppet episode, you know, they'll either try and do it themselves in-house or they'll do something else. But the way that they did it on this episode, not only did the puppets not have like the support arms that they normally have, which somehow not having the support arms made it seem a whole lot better. The other thing with it is just the way that they managed to capture the crew's likeness so well in puppet form. I mean, you know, you could.
Hair.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, obviously, Pike's hair still officially 4 inches tall. which made his hair look even more ridiculous when he was in puppet mode. But just the way that they managed
Anson Mount hair is never ridiculous. Never. Never.
Yes. Glorious.
You very clearly have not seen Inhumans then.
Well, yeah, that's just whatever. This is proper Anson Mount hair.
Yeah, but either way, the puppet representation of the crew, amazing. Just the overall episode was hilarious. I did like the fight scene quite a bit. Because it was just them just bouncing off the walls and everything, and it was hilarious. I do like as well that this episode also showed us a bit more of a human side to Spock because, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but
you're wrong. Sorry,
this is the first time. This is the first time we see Spock experiencing. I mean, obviously there was the episode where he basically became a human teenager, whatever. But apart from that, you know, we haven't really seen Spock experience certain negative side effects of being human, because this is the first time we've seen Spock have a panic attack from, you know, just from the amount of pressure he's under from having to manage the entire ship whilst the crew is completely the Dallas reference as well. Patrick explained it to me before the episode. I did a bit of research as well. Pretty funny. One thing I did kind of notice, the two major Orion pirates this episode, one of them is played by the woman who plays Tammy Wan in Parks and Rec, the captain. And her second in command is played by the guy who plays Charles Boyle in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes, he does.
This episode, if I didn't know any better, I would think this is like one of Jake's food coma dreams from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, it's
dream.
Exactly. Like, this is the kind of amazing, hilarious bullshit that they will pull on us just for the sake of it, and I love it.
That's
the other really hilarious thing is the fact that it took them like almost 30 minutes to figure out that they didn't need to breathe in space as puppets.
I mean, what do you expect? I mean, they had no idea. They were only figuring out what it was, or what they were physiologically, especially when La'an's arm pops off because of the second transporter accident.
Yeah, well, I mean, hell, Pelia got shot in the stomach like 20, 25 minutes in.
No,
she got sliced in two.
She got sliced.
That was it. Yeah. She got sliced. She got sliced, right? They should have realized at that point that if Pelia can survive that, then they might be able to do it. I mean, granted, again, they might think that Lanthanite puppet form is different from human puppet form. Who knows? Lars, what are you
Or it's just Carol Kane's immortal.
Look, I'm telling you, Pelia's puppet in this episode, I hope they sell that. I hope they sell it because I will buy it. I will buy it, and I will keep it with me as one of my prized possessions, because that hair is just absolutely just killing it. I mean,
it's almost as crazy as Carol Kane's.
Yes, it is. I mean, she did a wonderful job of not only playing the puppet. I mean, in fact, actually, as a puppet, she seemed more, I guess, more in tune with her character than she does most of the time. Instead of just a character spouting off random things. But let's look at this again. They explored a trope that got the fandom salivating. The fact that they were going to Muppetize the entire crew, or at the very least, we knew it was going to be Pike and that 4-inch hair. Fun fact: when I saw him at STLV, he did not have 4-inch hair. It was kind of slicked back a little bit. But the fact is, they really leaned in to the idiosyncrasies of the characters and just played it out perfectly in Muppet form. The fact that the unknown red shirt navigator gets a hole blown through him and he still survives is just funny. And the fact when they cut to the corridor scene and they're all running, that is like, I mean, that is all Muppet Show greatness right there. I mean, it took me back to my childhood in ways I didn't know was going to happen. And I was like, oh my God, I'm watching the Muppet Show again. The only thing we're missing at this point is Kermit and Miss Piggy to show up and do a cameo. They
No,
did.
what they were missing is the two old guys up in the balcony who dunk on everyone.
Yes. Was it Waldorf and Stadler? Is that what
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, Waldorf and Statler.
I mean, these characters, like the fact that they kept going and just playing to the absurdity of it and using it to their advantage to win in the end was just beautiful. And then, of course, you know, they knew that they couldn't really make it a thing because it was just too silly. So, of course, they Dallased it away and made it a dream. So what? Big deal. Besides, you tell me honestly, how many people would honestly call their ex for breakup advice? Nobody in their right mind would do it, especially not Spock. But still, hey,
No.
you know, they did great to praise.
Well, what was the other option?
Well, you know, whoa. But still, absolutely funny, loving touch with the work with Henson. I have no notes.
Yeah, it was beyond fun. Just
It was.
why not? Now they got to come back and go completely different direction yet again.
Before we move on to the next bit, I just do have one extra thing to say about the season so far.
Yeah.
I do not enjoy that Starfleet Academy cadet who's on the ship, the Vulcan one.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, you mean how they make her stereotype Vulcan?
No, I mean the fact that she is an utter bitchy McBitch face, or as we are now calling it, T'Pring face.
Yes, to pring face.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
There we go.
You say that
What was it?
really fast. To pring face.
Yeah, she was crappy to Uhura in the first episode. In the fourth episode, yeah, she's just, it's like, I'm Vulcan, so I'm going to be a bitch. I'm sorry. I'm Vulcan, so I'm going to be a T'Pring.
Well, and here, okay, so
And she thinks she's better than everyone.
Who
do you think you are? You're a Starfleet Academy cadet. You're a fucking red shirt. Get back in line. Get down to fucking engineering.
It's not like in Enterprise season 1 where the Vulcans were kind of being paternalistic to Earth and being dicks about it the whole time.
Oh yeah, she's by far antagonistic. Now, if you want to think of it in terms of real social interaction, the character was introduced to be just absolutely cardboard, straight as, you know, let's just make this person antagonistic for the sake of having a character that does that. I'm hoping that they do something with the character that kind of opens her up a little bit, but we know that's not going to
shows a fraction of humanity of her.
Oh no, I know how she's going to get opened up. She's going to get her head blown smooth off.
Well, yeah, we haven't done a TNG conspiracy type episode where just people exploding.
No, we don't need that.
After the butt bugs.
We don't need that on Strange New Worlds, please. Strange New Worlds has been a haven for us, so let's not go.
Well, except for season 3, but
so I think it's time we get to everybody's favorite part. We're back, baby. Pillar Watch! Woo! So, with there being 5 episodes so far, we are now going to have to kind of Speedrun, Pelia Watch for the first 5 episodes. Obviously, as the season goes on, we will be able to go more in depth with Pelia Watch, and trust me, you will get sick of hearing my voice by the end of it.
I'm already sick of your voice.
So, hit it, Kat. Let's do.
So, episode 1. Obviously, she is there. She does make a lot of Doctor Who references, and at the same time, she keeps engineering running whilst everything is going on. And it has been kind of confirmed, at least through other Star Trek media and other bits, that Doctor Who does exist within the Star Trek universe. So it does make sense that Pelia herself is going to be making Star Trek references. And granted, she's a Lanthanite, therefore an alien, which means Doctor Who has most likely slept with her.
Although
Episode 2.
Hold on, side point. She says phone booth though, so it could be the Bill and Ted universe and not actually Doctor Who. But we know it's
No, but she has said a time traveling doctor.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is true.
And Bill and Ted not smart enough to get doctorates. Anyways, episode 2. Pelia was MIA because, this was a horror episode. This wasn't a, we need the goofy little hyped up Lanthanite. Episode 3, again, MIA, because the episode was silly enough. I don't think we would need an inebriated Lanthanite, because genuinely, I think Carol Kane would rock up to set either with a doobie in her hand or with a little bit of a powdered sugar under her nose, a little bit of Colombian marching powder.
A little powder in her nose.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think she would probably be a big bump in that episode.
Yeah, she would have been a big bump in that episode. Episode 4. Again, MIA. Only reason for that, it was a noir episode. It was black and white. You can't capture the majesty of Carol Kane and Pelia in black and white. You have to see it in full, vibrant, ultra HD 4K color. That's the only acceptable way to watch anything with Pelia. And I will not be taking any criticism on that. If you want to criticize me, I don't care. You can fight me. Episode 5. How can you not have a Muppet episode without Pelia, who is basically the human equivalent of a Muppet? Like, genuinely. Because if you take a look at Pelia's room on the ship, she hoards things like as if she's fucking Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
She is basically Oscar the Grouch after Oscar the Grouch has got on like SSRIs or like, uppers.
I don't want to think about that. Man.
Wow.
That is a way to look at it though.
Exactly. So with that is all we have for the first half of Strange New World Season 4. Did we get it right? Did we miss anything? Do you agree, disagree? Guess what? I don't care. You can fight me. Let us know.
Oh boy. Why do you do this to me? Why?
Why, Mr.
Yeah.
X? Why?
Yeah. Thank you for joining us here on Treknicity, where we dive into the diversity and dreams of the Star Trek multiverse. I'm your host, Patrick.
I'm Lars.
And I'm Kat. I've had too much Monster.
Obviously.
And just for those who are wondering, our good friend James is still with us. He's just taking a bit of a break.
More break than we get. Be sure to like and subscribe on any and all of the socials listed here. We're on your favorite streaming apps, and you can find us on all of our videos at Treknicity.com. If you have an idea for an episode or just want to join the conversation, go ahead, email us at contact@Treknicity.com or DM us on any of our socials.
And as always, remember
Always.
to rock out with your Spock out. We'll see you for the next mission.